All right, everybody, it's me, Gregory Manarino. It is Tuesday, August 13th, 2019. We have to talk. It's true. As I am doing this video blog, markets have been open for about 20 minutes. There is a nice rally on Wall Street. Now, this should not surprise any of you. I explained recently, past couple of days, that I really did believe we were going to get a third run at that top just before the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 700 points. This would be a third retest. Now, I also explained to you that it doesn't mean that we're going to test it and then drop. We could test it and go higher. But this is a critical point to watch. In my experience, which is pretty extensive, when you see 3 failed attempts to break out of a recent top, it's usually followed by a pretty significant sell-off. So we need to keep our eye on that. Even much larger than that is what's happening right now in the debt market. I posted a snapshot of this all over my social networks right now as I am doing this video blog. The spread between the 2-year Treasury and the 10 is 3 basis points. We are on 2 to 10 inversion watch. It's pretty big. And again, like I explained to you, we are watching this closely, but again, it doesn't mean that there's a meltdown. The stock market could go higher even after this inversion occurs, but it really does start the clock ticking faster. Invariably, I mean, we've seen this throughout history, and the bond market is never wrong. It's never been wrong. When you get a 210 inversion, we see recessions, depressions, market meltdowns, you name it. But again, a lot of this is going to be fluffed up by our politicians, by bank CEOs, Wall Street corporations, the military-industrial complex, you name it. They're going to pull everyone out of the woodwork to try to convince you that everything is as good as it can possibly be. Now, let's talk more about that. We just found out, it's kind of a joke, I mean, that they have to tell us this, but seriously, consumer prices have now risen at their fastest pace since 2012, and we are seeing inflation kick up. Now, again, they think we're all stupid, like we don't shop, we don't buy things. We also don't notice how they shrink the size of everything. There's something that used to be 5 ounces is now 3 ounces, and yet the price is higher. But that's okay. No. There's no inflation. Let me just be clear on this. The narrative for the longest time has been there's no inflation, there's no inflation. And we're hearing this a lot from the president, from politicians, from economists, Larry Kudlow, Peter Navarro, you know, the one that's really running the show with regard to our monetary policy coming out of the president's mouth. The narrative will still, and it must be maintained, that there is no inflation, despite their own numbers showing us that there is inflation. We're not supposed to notice that things are shrinking again, prices are going up. We're supposed to think we're insane because what they're telling us is supposed to be the truth. No. The narrative must be maintained to justify further rate cuts. You're not supposed to know that our economy is in free fall. You're not supposed to know that we have a full-blown absolute debt crisis right here in the United States today. You're not supposed to know that the bond market is a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. No. Everything's as good as it gets. You know that because you're being told that. You're being fist-fed that by several people. And they must be right. And we must be stupid, right? No. They think you're stupid, but you're not. And I'm glad to see more and more of you making noise out here. You know, I look around online and I see people talking. I hear things. People are starting to wake up to the charade that is going on. It's a clown show. It's unbelievable. But watch over the next day or so. Once this kind of falls off the radar about consumer prices rising at the fastest pace since 2012, inflation kicking in. Once this falls off the radar and people start to forget, you're going to see people be paraded out, including the president. There's no inflation. We need to cut the federal funds rate a full percentage point. That's what we need to do because there's no inflation and our economy is booming. No. The rate cuts, the calls for more quantitative easing are proof positive that our economy is in free fall. Despite what the stock market's doing right now. Again, in my opinion, let me check this in real time because there was a nice rally going on. Oh my goodness, it's a nice rally right now on Wall Street. Stocks are up over 300, the Dow. So anyway, that's where we're at. Despite what we're seeing here, this is a run up. In my opinion, this is the third run higher. Like I've explained to you, I believed was going to happen days ago, to retest that high just before the stock market sold off that 700 points. If you put this together, if we look at it and say, okay, what's going on in the bond market? This retest, in my opinion right now, I think it has a greater chance of failing than breaking through, but that does depend on other factors as well. Let's see how this is played up. We're going to hear China trade talks are going to go well. Meanwhile, they're not even starting until September. That narrative is going to be pushed down your throat. The narrative of there's no inflation, so the Fed should cut rates. That's enough to push the stock market higher. Calls for a weaker dollar. Again, understand you are looked at as a pawn in a terrible game, and you're also thought of as being very, very stupid, and you're not stupid. As far as I'm concerned, if you follow this blog, you're part of my team. You are a giant among infantile entities that are trying to convince you that what you're seeing right before your eyes is just not there. It's incredible. It really is. All right, anyway, with that said, I'm going to end this video. Please share it. Get it out there. This guy loves you a lot. See you at the end of the day.